share the link with everybody. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you, so I'm hoping that this doesn't really bog down our connectivity. If it does, we will work around it. Okay, Donna, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Great. Okay, everybody else, you let me know if you cannot see my screen. I know, Liana, you're joining us by phone right now, but
I am as well.
okay. Well, I'm pulling up the screen here. We're going to go over what's in Blackboard. Specifically, we're going to go over the syllabus and kind of try to bridge that gap between transitioning from our hands-on testing in Spring A to now putting that testing in practice and report writing here in Spring B. I know that there's some confusion with the courses. I know that there's some confusion with the titles and everything. But at this stage of the game, I really want to move into report writing, interpretation and report writing before I let you guys go, because I know that some of you are very close to graduation or finishing up. So I just want to make sure that we're all very proficient in writing reports, or at least the process of writing reports and data collection before you finish the program. We'll talk about specifics with the internship when we switch gears to the internship at I'm working with across three different time zones right now, so I'm trying to keep them all straight. I guess that will be at 6 o'clock Mountain Time when we transition over talking about specifics with the internship. So right now, I'm really focusing on the practicum, the second practicum. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to pull up the syllabus. And let's talk about that first before we move on. So is there anybody in here who has just not received their textbook yet, the Sattler book? Okay, very good. Just remember that we're working from the 6th edition, published in 2014. The 5th edition is a great book. So if for some reason you bought it and you're just going to use it for a part of your professional library, it's still a great book. It's just outdated. It was published in 2008, and we've had many, many updates to all sorts of assessments within that book. Matter of fact, there's a big difference between the 5th and the 6th edition because Sattler really pretty much minimizes more of the cognitive assessments as we have moved away from the discrepancy model and focused on some other aspects. So we're going to get into the Sattler text starting next week. And so if for some reason you don't have it, make sure that you have that ASAP. Okay, let's go down here to our weekly course requirements, and you'll see that this week we're basically going to we're getting kind of settled in. If you want to go ahead and start reading over chapters 1 and 2, which I have assigned for next week, and you will have a quiz over chapters 1 and 2. So make sure that you read through chapter 1 and 2. This weekend I will have lots of information posted on Blackboard related to chapters 1 and 2 and how that just kind of ties in with our assessments and our report writing. So if you want to go ahead and get it, I know the book can be wordy and it's very clinical, but it really has a lot of great information. So if you need to get a little jump start on your reading for next week, go ahead and start doing that. It's always good to stay ahead of the readings and try not to keep it for that. Try not to keep it for that contained within that week. So as much as you can read ahead, that's just going to help you. So we have for week 2, starting next week, we have chapters 1 and 2. Week 3, we're going to do chapter 3. And then we're going to skip over to chapter 11 for week 4. So these in parentheses are the chapter numbers. Week 5, we're going to cover chapters 16 and 17. Week 6, chapter 18, week 7, chapter 25, and then the last week is going to be spent on wrapping up and making sure that all of our documentation and our paperwork and everything is turned in. Any questions over Sattler readings or quizzes? Nothing yet? Okay. Okay, so let's look at the overall course requirements and what you're going to be evaluated on at the conclusion or throughout this course. Like I said earlier, we're going to have 8 quizzes, and those are designated up there in that in the weekly schedule. So 8 quizzes at 20 points apiece, which gives us a total of 160 points. Comprehensive education evaluation reports. We're going to go over this a lot in the next 20 minutes. I want to make sure that we're really, really clear on what I expect as far as the comprehensive evaluation reports. And then a completed binder containing 3 assessments, reports, required paperwork, and everything else. You guys, I'm going to lead you through exactly what you need for this final binder project. Now, I say binder right now. What I need you to do is, I think I asked y'all to do this last semester if you were in the first practicum, is keep a binder with every one of your assessments in there. Right now, what you should have are your consents for every single assessment that you administered, and at least at a very minimum, the copy of the face sheet of your protocol and any kind of student response forms. So you should have those in a binder right now so that you can start. What we're going to be doing is collecting a lot of documents. So make sure that you hang on to those documents and work through some sort of organization technique, because at the very end of this class, I want to see completed assessments, full assessments, or full reports from the very beginning to the very end. And I'm going to go over those requirements here in just a little bit. These binders, they may turn into something that becomes electronic. So I may at the very end, that last week that we're kind of wrapping things up, we may work to where we create a wiki and you're uploading all of your information or something like that. I think we can do something like that, but I'm most concerned with getting evaluations scored, getting them interpreted, and getting reports written right now. So the technology aspect of it, however you're going to get me those, we'll go over that later in the session. Okay, any questions so far? Nope, we're good? Okay. So what do these 4 comprehensive education evaluation reports look like? And I have looked for this high and low, in code, in rule, everything else through PED. In Texas, we call these FIEs, full and individual evaluations. Can someone tell me what we call those in New Mexico? Are they called FIEs?
Can you restate?
Is this part of the evaluation report?
It is the evaluation report that we take a look at all the different domains of learning and we bring them all together. In Texas, we call that a full and individual evaluation.
Because I've never heard that term in New Mexico.
We just call it a full evaluation report.
Okay, full evaluation report. Okay. I
also,
go ahead.
I was going to say in New Mexico, they're not called ARD. That's only in Texas.
Yes. Okay. So it's actually not just a Texas term. There's many other states that use ARD. We use ARD or IEP meetings interchangeably. So you'll see in here that what do y'all call them in New Mexico?
IEP meetings.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We pretty much use.
Yeah, when I first moved here, I found when I used the term ARD, people looked at me funny.
Yeah.
So I had to get over it if that has.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of states that refer to them as ARD meetings, and there's a lot of states that refer to them as IEP team meetings or things like that. So I try to use them interchangeably, because we still do have some students who are, it's all about terminology. I understand that. So, okay. So the full evaluation reports are basically what I'm talking about right here. These comprehensive education evaluation reports, those are your equivalent of full evaluation reports. And I was going to pull up what I found in Rule that referenced from New Mexico a full and individual evaluation, but a full evaluation report, let's just go with that. Okay. You are going to be required to complete 4 of those based on the testing that you have done. So what I want to see happen is everybody take their assessment piece, which is the intellectual testing that you did last semester, and integrate that into a full evaluation report. Because one of the most important things that I need you to walk away from this class knowing is the intellectual assessment that you've conducted is a tiny piece of the evaluation. It's a piece and it's a significant piece, but it's only a small part of the evaluation. We've got lots of different pieces of data that we gather that we look at in addition to the intellectual testing. Any questions so far? Okay.
I have a question. When you say 4,
Mm-hmm.
we only did 3 students.
Did you do a preschool?
I did.
Okay, so you did 2. You did a WJ,
Correct.
and then
But I did them with the same student.
you did it for the same.
Like I used, yes.
Okay, so you did a preschool, a WJ, and a WISC, all on this. 2 on the same student, and then yeah, that's going to be
Yes.
okay.
I did too.
Okay. Okay, then we're gonna have to we're gonna have to play around with that one then, and then that requirement. So if we don't have the 4, then we don't have the 4. Then we'll just go with what we have. Let me see. Let me see here. Can y'all hear me okay? My computer just completely froze up on me. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes. I
Yeah.
can.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I was talking away and my computer was completely frozen. Okay. So we'll play around with that number is what I was saying. And what we need to do first is let's just get going on our first one. So in order to do that, some of the requirements that are going to be outlined in this evaluation report that you're going to be putting together is basically the data collection. Is there anybody in here that will absolutely not have access to the student that they tested in the first practicum?
I won't have access to the preschool student
Okay.
that I tested.
Okay. Anybody else? But Brandy, you'll have access to the others, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll need to write the report on the student or the students that you have access to again and start collecting data from them. So what you're going to do is I have the forms all uploaded to Blackboard for this is to begin your data collection is you are going to we're going to look at all these different domains of learning, everything that would go into a full evaluation report. We're going to look at language and communication. looking at making sure that the services are delivered in the child's native or dominant language. Their physical, sociological, emotional, or behavioral intelligence, adaptive behavior. Intelligence you already have, and we're going to back up in a little bit. And we're going to talk about your intelligence testing in just a minute. Intelligence and adaptive behavior, intelligence, adaptive behavior recommendations if we're looking for something like ID, achievement testing if we're looking for something like a learning disability, and then assistive technology. So all of those different domains which can affect learning or academics, we want to take a look at in our full evaluation report. And to do that, we're gonna do some document collection. Going through here and working with your mentors, we're going to have to kind of back up, and we're going to talk about working with your mentors and how each of you may or may not have access to report writing software such as eSped or C's or something like that. So as I go down the row, I want to make sure that that everybody may have access to some sort of database through their mentor. And if you don't, then that's okay. Just let me know that you don't. So I'm just going to start with the first name that I have listed here. Brandy, working with, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My mentor provided a template
Oh, perfect.
that our district uses, and she provided that to me during the first practicum so I could start collecting that data so that I would be better prepared to write the reports.
Excellent. So what is that template from? Do you know what?
That I don't know.
Okay. Okay. So everybody needs to find out what kind of database or what kind of report writing software or whatever that your mentor uses. The most widely used that I've seen is eSped. I'm sorry, Donna, go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, so good, Brandy. If you'll find out from your mentor exactly what it is that where she pulled that from, because that'll be helpful for us to know in your internship as well. So what I'd like for y'all is to get a little bit more familiar with that and count that as towards your internship hours. But we'll talk a little bit more about that when we transition over to the internship. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm glad. If you have a template for this full evaluation report, then please use that template. I will provide you kind of a very generic, general template to use for these reports. But if you can work with your mentor and use that district's template or software, that's even better.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, Donna, how about you? What do you have access to?
When my diag writes the reports, it's just a Word document.
Okay.
But she does have a template as far as like the different headings and the information that's to be provided in the report.
Okay.
And so I did talk to her about using her format, and she said that was fine. You know, she didn't care if I took her format and just plugged my stuff into it.
Okay. As long as we are addressing all the required different areas, then you'll be fine with that. And you're welcome to take a look at the template that I have. It's pretty comprehensive, and it's a matter of fact, it's very thorough and very comprehensive. So you're welcome to take a look at that if you want to and use that one, or use the one that you have. That's fine.
Okay. Well, she said that at some point in time, I probably would want to change it up to kind of meet our particular needs at my school, but at least I felt like it would give me a place to start. But I'll look at yours as well and make sure that everything is in there.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, Liana.
Yeah, so I'm in a similar situation with Brandy where I have the template, but I don't think I'll ever have access to software.
Okay, do you know what software is used?
Yeah, it's CES.
Okay, so C's.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I can look at your template as well to compare it.
Okay. Yeah, if you're using something like from eSped or from C's, and I don't even know if they even do microsped anymore or anything like that. If you're using those templates or access to that kind of that software is usually kept meticulously up to date to stay along with state and federal guidelines and regulations. So if you can get access to any of those templates or whatever, that would be ideal. But there's just some situations where we can't get access to that. So, and again, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the internship. Let's see, Sherry Merritt Russell.
I have access to a template. I will have it tomorrow. And I sent a text message to my friend that's a diag that I was telling you about earlier. Mm-hmm. And she said that they do not use a software. Okay. And I asked her where she got the template from, and she said that one of the other diags had created it for the University of New Mexico program.
Okay. Wow.
And I don't know where she got any of that information from.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. So if you want to, and this goes for any of you, if you want to email me the template and make sure that it's got what's going to get you writing a good comprehensive report, I am more than happy to take a look at that. I have written my fair share of full and individual evaluation templates for school districts throughout the state. So I'm pretty good at spotting what needs to be there and some things that possibly don't need to be there. So if any of you want to shoot me your templates, I can definitely take a look at that and see if they're comprehensive enough. Okay, Sherry Goodwin Hill.
I have access as well. I don't have it in hand at this point, but I do have access to it. She said that she would also make available any of my, for the scoring and interpretation of those, she would give me her password so that I was able to use anything I needed.
Okay. Okay, well that's helpful. You don't happen to know what they use, what your district uses?
I did not ask. We're actually on spring break, so we've been out of communication for about a week and a half. I can get that as soon as we get back on Monday.
Okay. All right. I completely forgot that some of y'all are on spring break as well. Okay. Who did I miss? I got everybody? Okay. Very good. So it's just interesting to see to see that there's not just a very standardized kind of software that these districts are using. So, and that's okay. That just means that we're all going to have to stay in a little bit more communication because, like I said, the software programs, they push, the most recent updates, legislative updates, or rules or reg changes or anything like that. So I just want to make sure that you are all very aware, and I'm sure that y'all are working with fantastic mentors who are up to date and doing everything. But we just want to make sure that you're going out there and you're knowing exactly, even going above and beyond the basics of what you need to be doing and learning what you need to be learning. So let's just stay in communication about the template. I don't want you to get, your whole report written and then email it to me and then me say, oh, you forgot, this whole entire domain that you should have addressed. So we want to make sure that we head that off at the very, very beginning. So, okay, so let me show you right now what that template looks like that's on Blackboard. You can't see this because you are, you're not the instructor. So a lot of this stuff I will open up this evening so that you'll have access to these documents. This is what the full and individual evaluation or full evaluation report looks like, that my template. So of course you have all of the, just kind of the contact information of the student up here. Our first domain or area we have is language. So to really identify the student's dominant language and making sure that we are providing services and assessments and everything else in the child's most dominant language. Okay, we're going to move down here. to the second one, which is the physical domain. And again, I'm going to give you all sorts of documents that you're going to give to the parent. If it's your child that you assess, that you're going to fill out as the parent. If you've assessed an adult student, there are forms or questionnaires that you give to that parent that allows you to input the data in over here. So it all goes back to a lot of communication with either the adult student or the parents of the student that you tested. So the second one is the physical domain. We want to make sure that the child is not needing glasses or any sort of augmentative devices for hearing. Maybe they have missed maybe they have a lack of educational opportunity because they've missed, 4 weeks because they have seasonal allergies and asthma and they can't go outside in the 50-mile-an-hour wind. So physical information is very, very important, just like the language information is very, very important. So we want to make sure that we touch on all of the different aspects of physical development with your student. Also, sociological data. Sociological data can be found in one of the interview sheets that I'm about to show you. So we definitely want to look at the sociological domain, making sure that there's any cultural or lifestyle factors that influence learning or behavior. The next domain is the emotional or behavioral domain, and to make sure that we are identifying and addressing any kind of emotional or behavioral concerns with the student. The intelligence and adaptive behavior domain, probably just the intelligence domain is what we're going to focus on because we did not do adaptive behavior in spring A. So this intelligence is you're going to draw from your intelligence testing that you did in spring A. So your sources of data is going to be your WISC, your WJ3, or whatever that you did here. And we're going to interpret that, and that's all going to go in this intelligence domain here. Moving on down, we have academic achievement domain. We've got to look at current academic achievement, past academic achievement, sources of... Yes, Brandy, did you have a question?
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And then assistive technology domain. We want to make sure that the child does not need any kind of assistive technology to access the general ed curriculum. Transition domain, different types of transitions that may be needed. And you can see that this is fairly comprehensive and taking a look at all of the different areas that could potentially affect this child's academic performance or their intelligence. So that is what my FIE template looks like. Donna, do you know if this is something kind of what you're along the lines of what your diag said that she developed?
Yeah, it looks like all the same information is there. It looks like more it looks like it's pretty much what she includes in hers.
Okay, great.
Because we always do a case history to get the information from the parent. We always get quite a bit of information from the teachers that would fit in there. It's just more of a paragraph type form, but she does use charts to put in or tables to put in like the cognitive assessment and the intelligence assessments, and then uses some tables to kind of compare that data.
Great. Okay. Whatever works. So that's great. Okay. So that is the full evaluation report template. Feel free to use that. I'll open that up on Blackboard. Now, before any of you panic, there are going to be, remember, we're working in a very hypothetical construct right now. So there are going to be areas here that you're just not going to have. The goal of this exercise is for you to get experience gathering documentation, putting together this puzzle taking all of these pieces of the puzzle and putting them in this really, really big puzzle so that everybody has this clear picture of what we're looking at. Okay, so there's going to be areas on here that you're just not going to know. Now, I don't want you to say on here, I just don't know what this is. You're gonna have to make something up. You're going to have to put something on here. That's why you'll see throughout here that these are hypothetical instances. We are not disseminating this information to anybody. We are learning. So this is all learning for us. So I don't want anybody to panic saying, oh my gosh, I didn't give a perceptual reasoning test or something like that. The data collection documents that I have here, again, if you're working for a district and you already have these pieces of information, these questionnaires, these forms, these consents, these surveys, if you already have those, that's fantastic. Use what you're familiar with or what you need to become familiar with. You don't have to use mine as long as you use something to address these areas. So for example, we looked on our full evaluation report and we saw the very first thing that we're going to tackle is the child's language. We're going to report on their dominant language. So if your district has a home language survey that you use or some way to find out what that child's dominant language is, then you use that. I have a home language survey here that's pretty simple that you'll give to the parent. And it's really, all I have is English and Spanish right now, which are pretty much the most dominant languages of the schools that I work with. So we have just a very simple questionnaire. They can either fill out the top or they can fill out the bottom for dominant language survey. Same thing applies to student health information. Remember on our report that we just went over, that report template, that student health is a huge, huge consideration when we're talking about potentially placing someone in special education. We want to know their past health. We want to know if there's anything right now that's going on with them. So I have a health information questionnaire here that you're welcome to use. Sociological data, same thing. We've got to report sociological information about the child that we're considering developing services for. So here's a sociological data checklist. Assistive technology and technology needs assessment. We've got to determine whether or not assistive technology is needed for a child to access the general education curriculum like everybody else. Behavior checklist. I have a behavior checklist. This one comes directly from the Sattler textbook. It's not a super pretty, it's a scanned in. So you can print this off and you can literally make check marks, work with the mom, the dad, the caregiver, the adult student. Just hand it to them and let them do it however you think you're going to get the most reliable results. So that's what the behavior checklist looks like. And then the notice of the ARD or the IEP meeting, whichever one you want to call it. If your district has its own IEP meeting notice, then by all means use that, because what I really want to do is I want to get you familiar with the potential paperwork that you may be using as a diagnostician at your home campus or your home city or district or whatever. So here are all of the different documents that you're going to have the parent fill out. Maybe that's you. You're going to have the caregiver fill out or the adult student fill out. Once you get all of this data back, you're going to organize it by student in your binder, and then you can start on filling out your full evaluation report template. So that's kind of the full evaluation in a nutshell. I know I've completely glossed over right now or scanned over the intelligence testing, the scoring and everything. So you're going to have more information on where we go from your assessments from Spring A, because we still need to manipulate those assessments, pull out pertinent data, and interpret that so that you can include that part on your full evaluation report as well. Everything is going to come back to the full evaluation. So let's put it this way. If for some reason something happened to all of our files And the only file that existed on every student was their full evaluation report. Everything else disappeared into the ether. We would want your full evaluation report to be standalone. If we lost the protocol, if we lost your assessment reports, if we lost the CUME folder, if we lost behavior referrals, if we lost all of that stuff, we would want your full evaluation report to stand on its own, to give the reader a snapshot of how that child is performing in all of those different areas. Okay, questions? Did I lose y'all? Are you in shock? Any feedback?
It actually doesn't look that bad.
Who said that? Sherry?
This is Terry Merritt Russell. Yeah, it really doesn't look as scary as I had anticipated.
You know, this is the part of being a diagnostician that I loved, was the interpretation of it, was pulling in all of the pieces of data. And how I explain this is that as a diagnostician, you should form a hypothesis about a student based on some referral data. You form a hypothesis and you say, well, maybe we're looking at a specific learning disability. So you get that hypothesis in your mind and you start working towards that. You work towards proving or disproving that hypothesis by all of this data that you're gathering. So you're going to do your IQ testing. You're going to do behavior questionnaires. You're going to talk to the school counselor. You're going to talk to the parent, the probation officer. You're going to gather data from so many different aspects of this child. You're going to bring it all together, and you're going to sit there and you're going to analyze all of this data, and you're going to say, I have just proven or disproven my hypothesis. If you prove it, then you go with it and you make a really strong case for that specific learning disability. But if you get everything together and you think, wow, my hypothesis was I was looking at a specific learning disability, you know what? I think I'm looking at emotional disability now. So, you know, the law says that we have to go and we have to look at every area of suspected disability. So it's not a big deal if you haven't proven your hypothesis. It's a big deal if you don't go off and you don't prove or disprove it and then prove your hypothesis, your new hypothesis of emotional disturbance. So Sherry, I appreciate your comment saying it's really not that big of a deal, because it really isn't. Putting together a full evaluation is really not that big a deal. Now, it is time consuming. It is time consuming, and it is a little bit of a bigger deal when you're looking at something like other health impairment. If you have a child who receives services under other health impairment because he's diabetic, well, then you're looking at something different. You're looking at getting medical, some medical forms from the doctor. You're looking at, so your data collection broadens depending on the disability. Sometimes we have speech therapists that are doing their own evaluation that we have to pull in and put in the full evaluation report. OT, PT, orientation and mobility, all different things. So depending on the disability, your document collection, your data collection can get wider and wider and wider. And the more people you're pulling in on your hypothesis, the more you have to manage your time. You have to be organized, and you have to make sure that we're not running over a timeline. Does that make sense? Are we good?
Yes.
Very good. Brandy, did you have something?
No, I didn't. I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so manageable bites. Typically I have students, we do anywhere from 8 to 10 of these full evaluation reports. I'm just getting used to this 8-week format, because usually I teach in 16-week chunks. And so we have a lot of time to administer assessments and take those assessments and write these full evaluation reports. So what I really want now is I want 2 to 3 meticulous full evaluation reports, because we're doing so few. We're going to have time to really make sure that these are done very, very well. So that's kind of what we're going to be working towards in this class. And you're also going to be juggling learning stuff from Sattler, You're also going to be juggling how to take those. Before we even start on these full evaluation reports, we need to back up. We're not going to do that tonight, but I'm going to post some information on how to back up and really interpret your intelligence testing, because that's one piece of the puzzle. It's one piece of your full evaluation report. So I want to make sure that you know how to take your assessments and interpret those assessments, be able to tell an audience what they mean, how significant they are, or how insignificant they are to your hypothesis, and then move on. So we will have another meeting specifically for the interpretation of the intelligence testing. But I just wanted to kind of get the overall, give y'all the overall feel of what I'm looking for in this course, in this practicum course first. Any unanswered questions? No? Okay, so as y'all know, as always, if you have questions, this is going to be a course where we're all going to have to stay in some pretty good communication. Y'all have my cell number. You can text me. I'm on the road a whole lot right now, so the best way to get me is probably send me a text or send me an email, and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. But this is a course where we've got to stay in some pretty good communication because time will go by pretty quickly. Stay on top of the chapter readings and stay on top of the quizzes. And just keep checking in. I would say every day check into Blackboard because we're kind of at a critical point in your program that we're going to be putting a lot of things into practice right now. So those of you that are taking this practicum and your internship, you're going to be doing some juggling, and you're going to have to be organized. Get yourself a planner if you don't already, and really be planful in your practicum and your internship requirements. Okay, with that being said, if you have any questions that you feel more comfortable addressing with me on an individual basis, please send me an email. We'll set up a time to talk, or we'll communicate via email. At this point, let's go ahead and let's switch over to the internship. So if anybody is not in the internship right now, you can go ahead and you can log off. You're free to go. And we will be waiting for other people to join us. I think they should have already been here for the internship. Has anybody joined us for just the internship that I haven't seen yet? Okay, so all I have in here right now are Sherry, Liana, Donna, and Brandy.
Correct. This is Sherry.
Okay. Wow, none of our interns have joined us. Okay, well, we're going to just go ahead and keep going then. We'll keep going with this recorded message, this recording. So let's go ahead and get started with the internship requirements. Okay, you haven't, again, I haven't opened all these up yet because I didn't want to open them up and overwhelm everybody until we had a chance to discuss a lot of this. I'll be, just like I said in the practicum course for the internship, I'll be posting a lot more information as we go on, but I wanted to make sure that we had all of the required paperwork. I know some of you turned in paperwork to either Julie or Melissa, and I really would like, if you have access to those documents, I would love for you to go ahead and upload those when it becomes available. Here are, within this tab right here, the required internship docs is a listing of all of the documents that I need uploaded ASAP. So again, I think most of you have already turned these in. If you haven't, that's okay. You can access them through, like I said, required internship docs. If you click on this link right here, it'll pull up the form.
Are they pretty much similar to the practicum document?
They are, but I need them for the internship though.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are some similarities with them, but these are more specific to the practicum. I mean, I'm sorry, to the internship.
Okay. Because I'm on spring break as well, and so I don't have access to anybody to get signatures on them yet.
That's okay. Donna, you have the same mentor for your practicum and your internship, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you're okay when you get back in from spring break, if you'll have her complete these, um, and go ahead, and since you're doing the same mentor for each one, then so there won't be any kind of interruption in what you're doing. So just
Okay.
yeah, when she gets back in. I think I've mentioned to y'all this before. The practicum is going away after this semester. We're going to more traditional testing courses again that I can teach. They did the practicums because they just didn't have anybody to teach these courses, and so they thought, wow, what better teachers than the mentors? And I completely agree with that. But now I'm on board and we've got someone that can teach these assessment classes. So again, I hate that I keep having to use this term, but we're in a big transition right now. And so I want to use these internship classes. Y'all probably noticed that I consolidated all the enrollment of the interns, whether they're continuing or first semester interns. That way, I would love to be able to utilize all of this. Those interns that are continuing on, that are in this course that have continued from last semester. I'd love to have collaboration with them too. Unfortunately, none of them joined us though. But when they do, I want to make sure that they can help answer any kind of questions or anything that you may have going forward. So yes, Donna, to answer your question, we can give it some time since yours is the same mentor. But just as you can, let's go ahead and get these uploaded.
And I'm using the same mentor as well, so I'm kind of in the same boat as Donna.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And probably most of you are, since this is the first semester that I've allowed y'all to do practicum and an internship at the same time. I'm assuming that your mentors are probably going to be the same. Is that true? I think it is with Liana and Brandy as well.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so as y'all can, apologize to your mentor, tell them kind of what's going on and that this is specific to your internship. And these need to be a part, this internship, the data collection for this really needs to be, a part of your permanent file. So that's why I'm trying to be pretty meticulous with these internships in case when we are audited that I've got specific information to your internship. Okay, so here are the documents. If you'll go through there and as y'all get back into the swing of things, try to fill out as much as you can for your mentor and then just have them sign it and then re-upload. Okay, so let's take a look at activity logs. I've broken these up into two different tabs here. We've got activity logs 1 through 8 and activity logs 9 through 16, because for those of you who are in a position to where you are able to get a whole lot of hours every single day, then hopefully maybe you'll surpass the designated submission hours here. So you can go on, if you filled up all of these, you can go on and start accessing activity logs 9 through 16. Now that's a whole lot of work and really, really quickly. Our goal for this 8-week session, my goal for you is to have 8 completed submissions, which would be 160 hours. If you can get 160 hours in 8 weeks, then you're doing really, really well. And if you can't, well, guess what? We can roll over and get some more hours as you continue on in the internship. Okay, so what I want is an activity log uploaded for every 20 hours that you obtain. So for every 20 hours that you get, you're gonna have this activity log signed, you're gonna have it documented, and you're gonna upload it back into Blackboard.
One thing I did want to talk to you about, Dr. Klaus, and if we need to do it on a separate phone call, that's fine. being the special ed director, I'm the one who facilitates IEPs, and I've already held 98 IEPs so far this year, and 31 of them have either been reevals or initials where we've gone over testing.
Perfect. Yeah.
Can I count those hours?
Absolutely. Just make sure that that your mentor is signing off on all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that's a really good question, because I know a lot of you are in a position to where these 300 hours are going to be a piece of cake for you, because this is basically your job. There's some general rules about obtaining hours for your practicum. And the first one is I want to make sure that your mentor or your supervisor or whoever is very, very aware that your activity hours are not to interfere with your daily job duties. Because that's when we get ourselves into some squirrely situations to where there's, I don't want an administrator or someone calling me saying, so-and-so is working so much on these internship hours, she's neglecting her class or doing this or doing that. So first and foremost, internship hours should not interfere with your regular duties. Now, if your regular duties are that you are facilitating IEPs and that you're meeting with parents and you are you're doing all these different things, well then yes, you can do that. But with that being said, all activities have to be supervised. So all of the activities must be supervised that you're doing it. So now supervision can mean a lot of different things. Is that, just as long as your supervisor knows what you're doing, knows what you're counting, and is comfortable signing off right here for every 20 hours that you document up here.
Now, is the site supervisor the one that's actually at school or our mentor?
The site supervisor and the mentor are the same things.
Okay.
Yeah, your site supervisor and your mentor, those terms are interchangeable. And I've learned by going through the handbook and all of the documentation that they've been used interchangeably. So they're the same, they should be the same person, or they can be the same person.
Okay.
Any questions so far? Okay, so I've also had questions about academic achievement testing. Academic achievement testing is commonly done by special education teachers. So if you are a licensed teacher and you have been giving academic achievement tests, then continue doing it and count them as your hours. Make sure that your supervisor or your mentor knows what you're doing and is comfortable signing off on you doing those academic achievement tests and performing those. So the academic achievement tests, like the WJ academic test of academic achievement, the Brigance, the class test, any of these other more informal, I'm sorry. Any of these more informal classroom tests that you administer, please feel free to count those as your hours. Just make sure that your mentor knows that that's what you're doing. So any questions on the academic achievement testing? Okay, so another question that I get pretty frequently is, what about the IQ testing? And I know on your log here that it says that you have 120 hours of required testing activities. So I'm not going to tell you that those are 120 hours of just IQ testing or achievement testing. I'm saying testing in any capacity. If you can get in on some IQ testing, that would be fantastic. But I want to make this very, very clear. You are in no way, as an unlicensed diagnostician, supposed to be administering IQ assessments on your own, signing those reports, writing reports, reporting on those results. I'm very, very uncomfortable with that because um, you can administer the tests under the supervision of your mentor. You can write the reports, like real reports on those assessments under the supervision of your mentor. Your mentor needs to sign the reports that are going to go in that student's folder, that are going to be presented at the IEP meetings. So I cannot stress enough when it comes to intelligence testing that that is done under the direct supervision of your mentor. If your mentor lives 5 hours away, then you're going to have to figure out some way for that mentor to oversee your testing. Now, the practicum testing that we did in spring A is different because that was practice testing on someone who is not at risk of being identified as special education. What we're doing in the internship is we're working with real life students. And we are not to the point to where I feel comfortable with anybody signing off that they've administered an IQ test and that those test results are reliable. We just can't do it yet. You can do it under the supervision of your mentor. What questions do y'all have on that?
Do we sign the report as like a diagnostician intern and then our mentor sign it as the licensed diagnostician?
I really would rather y'all not sign it at all.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have been not in, but I have helped out with so many due process hearings, and when you're in due process, and if they even escalate to a full out lawsuit, and y'all will see as we start getting into the Statler book how these reports have to be so meticulous. The assessments have to be meticulous. And if for some reason, some weird, strange reason, your district went to a due process hearing with someone that you had your hand in assessing, the first thing that an attorney for the side that's bringing a lawsuit against you or your school district is going to say is, what business does this person have doing this assessment? Are they certified? Are they licensed? And in both cases, we say no. So it's all about liability. It's not my confidence in you guys or your mentor's confidence in you, but it's all about liability. And I do not want to put each one of you, in a situation of having to defend your testing. I just don't want to do it. Now,
another question, I guess, on that. The requirements for a level C testing says a doctorate degree in like psychology or education or something like that, and then training in how to administer, score, and interpret testing. Mm-hmm. And since I have a doctorate degree and I'm in this training, does that make a difference?
That's going to depend on, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to, I don't know. I need to look at that a little bit closer. I'm going to have to look at that a little bit closer. I would say, and this is going to ring true with all of you. I would say that it's probably, if you're going to bridge any kind of assessment to where you are even tempted to sign off on anything or to be a part of an evaluation for a real student who's receiving services under IDEA, at a minimum, your special ed director for the district needs to know, which is you, Donna, and the superintendent of your school needs to know. Because, ladies, I can't stress this enough either. In a due process hearing, in a lawsuit, it's not necessarily going to be you that's going to have to open up your checkbook and write a check. It's going to be your superintendent. And I can tell you right now that superintendent's not going to be very happy about any of it. So we want to make sure that you're just adhering to every best practice possible.
Okay.
So I would say,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just curious.
Yeah, let's take a look at that a little bit closer. And I probably at some point would want to get something in writing from your mentor saying that she feels very confident that you have practiced and administered a whisk or a WJ4 or something like that in her presence, and that she has signed off that you're proficient in that testing.
Okay.
Yeah. And we haven't even begun to look at not just yours, any of your assessment reports from spring A. I can't make any kind of judgment with that because I have not seen any of you administer the test, and I have not looked at your test results. Now, those of you that did call me that we did a preliminary protocol check, I didn't see any blaring inconsistencies there. If I had, you would have heard from me. But it's like you're going to learn. It's things like it's small things that could be litigated. Like, did the student query when they were supposed to? Did the test evaluator query the child when they were supposed to? Or did they not query when they were supposed to? Just little things like asking or prompting the right question to a student could be the difference between, the full scale IQ. I mean, it's just really that big of a deal.
Right, right.
Yeah. And so I know, that's one of my things that I feel like I've seen too much, and y'all probably have too. I think one of my biggest goals or my biggest responsibilities in being in the situation or the position that I am and that I've always been for the last 10 years is I want to protect my students. I want to protect my interns, and I don't ever want to put y'all in a situation or condone a situation that would get y'all in trouble with your district or with a parent. So I feel like that's why I really almost overstress the fact that y'all are still learning. It took me 3 years, a solid 3 years, before I felt very, very confident and very comfortable with pretty much all aspects of being a diagnostician. It took me 2 solid years of feeling very, very confident with my assessment techniques of 18 different intelligence tests and achievement tests and things like that. So it just takes a while. Okay, what questions do y'all have?
This is Liana. When we're writing our quote unquote reports, like, do we put our name, or do you want us to put our mentor's name?
Okay, so the report for this class, we want to, I'm getting some feedback. Okay, thank you. For this class, for the full evaluation reports, that template that I showed you, for anything regarding this class right here, the practicum class, you go ahead and sign as yourself, because those are hypothetical learning reports. So you sign as, the ed diag trainee, or the student ed diag, or however you want to sign that, you can. So for the practicum and all of the data collection and the testing and everything for the practicum, you guys, that is where you are going to be learning. That's where you're kind of in a safe environment to add to those reports, embellish those reports. Everything needs to be substantiated in those reports. So if I'm reading along in your full evaluation reports, and in one part of your report I see that there are no vision or hearing problems in the body of your report, but then I read that your student is auditorily impaired or something, obviously there's some inconsistencies in that. So the reports are for the practicum, you're fine with those. It's the internship, and that's why I wanted to have 2 different meetings. The internship is when you are working with your mentor with real life scenarios. That's the part of the internship that I want everybody to be very, very clear about, is that you're going to be working with real scenarios. Hopefully you're going to be sending out real IEP meeting notices. You're going to be working, trying to maybe sit in, and if you get permission, things like sitting in at IEP meetings, if you're not doing that already, And talk to your mentor and say, hey, do you think I could do the transition part of this IEP meeting? Or those are the types of activities, those real life activities that I'm looking for in the internship. Does that help, Liana?
Yeah.
Okay. Who in here is working in an area, a non-SPED area, that you feel like maybe you're going to have some difficulties getting these hours outside of your classrooms?
This is Sherry, and I am going to have. I'll be able to work with my mentor through the end of the year, but at the end of the year, I'm going to have to find a new mentor.
Okay.
Because they only work a week after the school is released.
Okay.
So I have a few options, but I haven't really got any. I have a few options, and I need to visit with you on that later.
Okay. Yeah, let's definitely work on that. Historically,
Okay.
internships have been offered in the summer. This will be the last time that summer internships will be offered. From now on, there's going to be only internships offered during the long semesters, unless there's just extenuating circumstances and maybe there's a year-round school that meets, and a student can get internship hours year-round. But for the most part, internships are not going to be offered in the summer after this summer. So for those of you that are continuing on, this is a good opportunity for you to just go ahead and continue on, because they won't be offered anymore after that. Okay.
I'll get with you on that additional.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be great. We can work something out for sure.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, so your charge for as soon as possible is going to be to get the required internship documents to me. If you're continuing on and we already have that from your practicum, just make sure that you get that ASAP submitted to this practicum course. Yeah, I think the wording is different, or else I would just have y'all upload your practicum stuff, but the wording is different between the practicum and the internship. So access those docs in here and get those uploaded again. You have your activity log. So anytime you have your 20 hours completed, make sure you sign on it, make sure your mentor signs off, and upload first submission of 20, second, and so on. Your site supervisor forms, let me just go through this really quick. Your site supervisor forms are all housed within the site supervisor forms. He or she is going to be required to do a mid-internship and a final internship report every term. So this term, around the 4th week, and you have to facilitate that. So the student facilitates it. If your site supervisor doesn't have it, come on here, print it out, let them do it. If they feel more comfortable emailing it back to me directly, that's fine. If they feel comfortable giving it to you, please upload it here. Same thing for the end of this 8 weeks. And then at the very, very end, after you have your 300 hours, then this is a verification that those 300 hours have been completed. Here is an intern supervision agreement that will need to be completed as well. And you can access that and give that to your supervisor or your mentor when you see him or her next. Over here, the certificates and the documents, this is where if you go to any, for your hours, if you go to any Region Service Center trainings or you attend any kind of workshops that count towards your hours, make sure you put those on your activity logs. And then if you have certificates of training or documentation or anything like that, you can upload those to the certificates or the documents. So a lot of the trainings will give you a certificate at the end saying that you've completed 8 clock hours of whatever kind of training. So make sure that you upload that here and include it in your activity logs. And that is enough to go ahead and get you started. Like I said, it would probably be wise to check in on the practicum and the internship site every day, just to check in, to make sure that everything is kind of flowing along pretty well. If you've been logging your hours, if I know some of you had a training at the beginning of the semester or something like that, if you need to go back and access these logs and retroactively add your hours to them, just make sure that your mentor is aware, your site supervisor is aware of everything that you're signing off on those logs. Okay, that is all that I have for y'all tonight. I'm going to have a lot more for you. I'm going to be posting to both of these courses. Please stay in communication with me. If y'all have any questions whatsoever, just let me know. Otherwise, I think I don't want to overload y'all with information, but I think this is enough to get us started. If you need anything at all, please send me an email and we'll work individually to make sure that everything is working out okay. Okay, there's no questions. Y'all have a nice evening, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Brandy, were you talking to me?
No, I'm good. Well, I think.
Okay, so Donna left. Brandy's good.
I have a quick question, Dr. Klaus. I emailed you in reference to, because I have no access this summer. Nobody's working this summer for our district.
Right.
So I'm assuming that I'm going to do what I can, but then I'm assuming I can just enroll in the internship again in the fall if I need to finish.
Yes, definitely.
That's all I needed.
Yeah, you'll need to enroll in the fall.
Okay.
I wish that there was some sort of trainings or something that was going on in the summer so you could take advantage of the summer, it being offered this last summer.
I know.
But there are no workshops you can attend or anything.
I'm going to look around and see what I can find, and go from there. I'll talk to my mentor also. She's really good. She works for several districts and stuff like that, so she may know of something else.
Yeah. Just go ahead and ask around, and then that way you can take advantage of the summer internships being offered, and even if it's just one of the summer terms,
right.
And then that way you can start logging some more hours. Just gives you a little bit of a leg up in the fall.
Great. I appreciate your help so much. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Dr. Cross, this is Cherry.
Yes.
My deal is the interns here the diagnosticians only work a week beyond the regular school year. So she gave me some alternative people that I might be able to use to continue my internship.
Okay.
Which was, there's several entities here in town that do the testing as well in the summertime.
Okay.
So is that going to be an issue? I mean, I've reached out to them. I haven't heard back from them to see who might possibly take on that responsibility. I know that one of them is a professor out of the college as well.
Okay.
They have a private practice. So, and you may know who that is. It's the Westbrooks.
Okay, yeah. However that works out, I'm completely open to kind of piecing things together for you, as long as we have, as long as there's lots of communication, and that your supervisor, your mentor, is good with signing off on stuff, and if he or she doesn't feel comfortable signing off on that stuff, then we need to do paperwork to designate a new mentor.
Okay.
So,
well,
yeah.
From what I understand is, I've visited with one, and they have had a summer intern before, which was the Westbrooks. So I need to communicate with them a little more to find out what's going to be a better fit for me.
Sure. Yeah.
And for them as well. So, because like I said, there's several options.
And that is the best news, is just that there's options. I think the most frustrated students are when there's just no options. So keep that dialogue going with them, and just kind of keep me in on the loop as well. And then that way, if we need to put you in the summer internship, either one or both or whichever one, that we can get you enrolled in that, and then that way you're taking advantage of the summer hours as well.
Absolutely. And I'm hoping to have that completely, have word on that within the next week so I can make sure that that's all taken care of.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Just copy me on any emails or just kind of keep me in on the loop with the email.
Okay, I can do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Klaus? Hello? Dr. Klaus?
Oh, hell no. Hey, Harold. Hey. Can you come help me really quick? I can't hear anybody talking. It's like an online meeting, but I can't hear anything.